10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's start the show.
Right now we are sitting down with my favorite Arkansas State University running back ball. We have a guy who's fought on Dana White's Contender Series, a guy who was a big-time name in MMA. We have a former Mr. Money in the Bank from WrestleMania 23, former WWE United States champion, a former two-time TNA heavyweight champion, Mr. This guy directed Batman Heart of Ice on YouTube, an amazing fan film. Someone who was in the Ultimate Fighting Championship, the Ultimate Fighter at one point. Helped run and promote Championship Wrestling of Arkansas for the little bit of time that it was around, as well as a professional wrestler from the early 90s. The guy is running Street Beefs Dirty South, a professional MMA fighter, and looking to make a debut sometime in the near future in bare knuckle boxing. We're the one and only Jason Voorhees, Mr. James Stokes himself. How's it going, James? Good to see you again.
You are now experiencing the Adam Talks Podcast Season 2.
Welcome to another great episode of the Adam Talks Podcast right here on whatever platform it is you're watching or listening to it on. We have a really good episode today, and I'm not going to lie, it is an awesome episode. It's a little bit shorter than our normal episodes, but hey, it is still really good quality episode. If you haven't already, can I ask you to do one real quick thing before we get into any of these details? It's just one thing, take a couple seconds out of your day, guys. If you're on YouTube, could you hit that subscribe button? And if you're on one of the other three streaming platforms at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio, can you hit that follow button? It helps out so much, guys. You have no idea. It makes me filled with joy whenever you do this, because it shows that we're growing. It shows that people are paying attention, and it just means the world to me. But guys, like I said, we have an awesome guest on today. It is awesome to be able to have this 45-minute conversation with this guy. He is a gamer, but he is also a professional wrestler I've gotten tips from in the ring. He's a guy that's really cool. He's blazing his own trail in all kinds of different directions. Right now, he's actually injured. But we are talking to the one and only DJ Hall. We are going to talk to him about all kinds of things, guys, so let's get right into it. This is my conversation with DJ Hall.
Podcast, we got an amazing guest on right now. We got the man himself, professional wrestler and gamer, DJ Hall. How's it going, dude?
What's up, man? It's going well. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Got you on here finally, you know. I know we tried planning this last season whenever I first started the show, and you just had a lot going on at the time. But finally, we were able to get you on here, man.
Yep.
I'm very happy about that.
Turns out injuries really clear out your schedule. Who would have thought?
That makes sense. That makes sense. Been doing a lot more gaming than I assumed than you would have been doing.
Very much so. Nearly every day at this point. It's crazy.
Holy cow. Wow. What's that like for you? Is it something that you just always liked doing, or?
It's something that I've always wanted to do, to be honest. Like whenever I was like 16, I started a YouTube channel, and I started another one because that one didn't work, and I started another one because that one didn't work. And now that I've actually got decent Wi-Fi, I decided to go all in and try to expand the wrestling brand.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Gaming with DJ, huh? How many followers and subscribers you got on that right now?
On Twitch, I have like 150, 151. On YouTube, I am just close to 300, yeah.
Holy cow, dude. That's great. That's awesome, dude.
And then,
what kind of games you been on here like? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. Going off of the YouTube, I've got 300 on the gaming, and then I've got like almost 400 or over 400 on the wrestling. I divide them out. I'm not the best. I didn't want to combine the two. That way the niches are different. So I've got pretty much 700 followers on YouTube, which is pretty cool. But I've been playing a lot of Fortnite lately because that seems to do the best on Twitch. Madden is my personal favorite because that's what I grew up on. I just finished the WWE 2K24 Undisputed chapter. I need to work on the women's version of that. And we've been playing a lot of Content Warning. I don't know if you've heard about that yet. It's a new horror game where you record monsters and try to go viral in the game.
Oh, wow.
So
Wow.
For some
man.
reason, horror games really do well for me. It's almost like my games hate me.
Definitely, man. I think that gaming for me, I'm not a huge gamer or anything, and I haven't got to play 2K24 yet. I am super excited about playing that though. Playing through like 40 Years of Mania. It was just like on the 2K14 game that had 30 Years of Mania or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, man. I love playing through that game mode, so I'm super excited about that sort of thing. What was the Undisputed like? The My Rise sort of game mode or whatever?
Yes. The career mode. It is so good.
Okay.
I've always liked career modes because as a kid, I was told I wasn't going to be able to do this as a profession. See how that worked out. So I would always make my own guy and run my own career mode since they didn't have it back then. Now that they have it, I thought 2K15 was my favorite career mode. I think it was their first one, and for some reason I latched onto it. This one is the best one, hands down. It is so good. I don't even normally play the side quest, and I wasn't even going to do it for the stream because I'm a bad person apparently. The side quest bore me because it doesn't progress anything. It just sets you right back to where it was. Even the side quests were amazing in this game. So
wow.
I don't know if that says anything, but I loved it.
I'm a career mode guy myself, man. I absolutely love making the people. Ever since really, I guess it was 2018, 2017, somewhere in there, you were able to upload your face, upload your own images is where they started doing that. So I've absolutely loved being able to do that, putting my own face on a character and be like, that's me! That's what I look like! I'm playing through this game! Yeah! Call the Miz out, call Hulk Hogan out, or whoever out whenever you're playing through it, man. It's awesome seeing how games have progressed from, like, whenever I was a kid, it was Nintendo 64, playing No Mercy and playing WCW NWO World Tour and stuff like that. Now, seeing how everything looks, it's just nuts. Dude, I can't believe that, how far things have gotten as far as clarity and how realistic things have gotten. You mentioned playing horror games, man. Have you played any of the Amnesia games?
I have not. I've watched a lot of those videos, but I have never played those.
Oh my gosh, dude. I played through, we've got 3 of them on my Xbox here at the house, and my fiance, we saw them, and we were like, I was like, that's one of the games that I've seen people play, and they were like, like they're freaking out, and I was like, why are they freaking out? I don't get it. What's going on, man? And I played through one called A Machine for Pigs, and I cannot play it right now. Like, I haven't been able to play it for weeks because they're like making pigmen or something in there, like experimenting on people and making pigs, and I hear, wee! I'm like, and the lights can be on and everything. Have you had any moments playing any horror games where you were like just freaked out?
Yes. My grandmother actually called me one night because she watches the stream occasionally, and what was it? It's a game called Devour, and you're basically trying to exorcise a demon out of a house. And me and my brother were playing it, and my grandmother called me the next day after she watched the VOD because I stream at night. So she watched the video on demand, and she was freaking out, saying I can't play that anymore because that wasn't me, and she was scared for my physical health. I was so scared.
Oh my gosh. So Madden's been your go-to. Who's your team on Madden?
Dallas Cowboys, by far.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Amen. Virtual high five right there. Anyway, that's my team, dude. I like the Cowboys and the Texans. I have a super old, not super old. I guess it is super old. It's like 16, Madden 16 or something like that. So it's a little further back in the generations. I feel like they all, just a few. It's no big deal. I feel like though, kind of like with the WWE games, the graphics change a little bit, but it's pretty much a lot of the same. Is that right with the newer games even?
There's definitely a different feel to them. They modify the movement and the speed and all of that, but for the most part, it's really just roster updates. But I'm a sucker for them, so I buy them. I've bought every one.
Definitely. So when did you say you started getting into this really full time? I guess it would be your injury, since your injury?
Yes. I tore my ACL in September, and I was just getting full time into this late August, so it kind of coincided perfectly. Tore my ACL September 30th, had surgery November 25th, and the moment I was able to walk and sit in my chair comfortably, even before my surgery, I broke my last chair somehow. So I tore the chair apart a couple days before my surgery and made a footstool out of it. That way I could prop my leg up. And but then once I was able to actually get back here without any assistance, I've been doing it pretty much every day.
Wow. What would you say the most rewarding thing about streaming is?
Probably just a new way to engage with people that watch my wrestling stuff without them having to drive 3 or 4 hours one way to be able to see it. I've been able to connect with people from Tennessee whenever I've never even wrestled in Tennessee, but they've found my stuff on TikTok and YouTube, and it's a way to make them lifelong fans instead of just another viewer.
Yeah, definitely, man. I think with any kind of venture that you're going into, whenever it's online, the thrill of being able to meet new people and engage with people, and just talk to people and be personable with people is something that's very, I guess, understated in my mind. You see a lot of people out there and they're like, I'm doing this because I love it. And of course you love it. Otherwise you just wouldn't be doing it. But what else is there? People don't talk about enough how much the engagement means to them. So definitely respect out of that, man. Let's switch subjects a little bit, man. What got you into wrestling and how long you been into it?
I have been into it since I was like 6 years old. I'm 23 now, so what is that, 15 years? Some odd number? Oh, that's not 15. That's 17 years. But my brother was into it for a while, and he's my half brother, so I didn't see him very often. So I had no choice but to watch it with him. And then Shawn Michaels was on the screen, and I gravitated towards him a bit. And then I came to a show in Little Rock. It was a house show. Eugene was there. I was almost picked to be the guy that walked him down at 6 years old, which would have been awesome. And
That would have been nice.
the main event was Ric Flair, and the only one I remember is Ric Flair, but I remember there being like 4 different people in it. And Ric's blonde hair was blood red, of course. And for some reason, my 6-year-old brain was like, yes, this is it. And I've been hooked ever since.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Man, his blonde hair turns red. Just him and John Moxley get color with just the changing of the wind blowing on them, basically,
Right.
man. So I could definitely see that. But I can understand that as well. I started watching wrestling in '97 whenever I was 7 years old. So that was just a couple of years ago. Wasn't very far back. Just long
Right.
enough. Yeah, WCW, that was my jam, man. DDP and Macho Man, watching that stuff, watching the NWO and Sting fight each other. DDP would be on his side. We'd flip back and forth occasionally. My dad would, between Raw and Nitro and stuff, but it was WCW for me. Seeing Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero and all of them, it got me hooked. And I was like, if a guy Rey Mysterio's size can do it, and you've seen me, I've seen you, we're not big guys, we're not tall dudes, big dudes. If Rey Mysterio could do it, and I was seeing this when I was 7, if he could do it, maybe I can one day. And, finally made it to a point where I could do it a little bit. So I could understand that. How did you get into the business?
I knew I'd always wanted to do it. I never saw myself at a desk job, and anytime I thought of something else, it always brought me back to wrestling. But whenever I was 16, I actually was like, I'm not going to be able to do this. There's no point in trying. I actually decided that I was going to go to college and get a business degree so that I could just own my own company. Because if I couldn't wrestle, I was going to be a part of it some way. And then a couple months before my graduation, a company that I think is still active today came to El Dorado, which is about an hour or so from where I live, or lived at the time. And I'm like, screw it, I'll go. I bought VIP tickets and everything. And most of the guys were around, if not 2 inches taller than me. So I'm like, if they can do it, I think I can. I might as well try it. So I decided that day that I was going to go to wrestling school, and spent the next 2-3 years trying to find one, and eventually settled down on Flatbacks Wrestling School in Apopka, Florida. And turns out every guy there was also around my size. So it just kind of kept going on until 3 years later I'm here.
Man, what was it like? What was it like your first, I don't know, year or so, or your first even 6 months training? What was it like getting in a ring? Because for me, I was starstruck getting in, just even stepping foot next to a wrestling ring, touching one. I'm like, I don't deserve to be here for like half of a second. And then I get in there, I'm like, I want to do all this. But then, of course, your trainer's like, you got to learn to crawl before you can walk, dude.
Right.
And what was your experience like?
So I did training backwards, very much backwards. Normally
wow.
you go to school, learn everything, and then you start hitting seminars up. I started with buying my own ring, watching videos of Santino Bros where they train online people, and I'm like, okay, I can train myself. Then I started going to seminars. The company's closed down, but I was helping set up ring crew. That way I could get extra reps before the shows and before the seminars and all of that. And then I went to training. So I was already accustomed to the in-ring part a little bit, where I was comfortable enough on my feet, but I wasn't comfortable enough to do it in front of other people that knew how to do it. Because my classes were always the beginners that were just some Joe off the streets. I was 40 years old, where I want to try this just to say I did it kind of guy, and not I want to do this full time. So whenever I was in the carpool to go to Flatbacks with 4 other guys, we were all starstruck, but just by getting in the parking lot. You couldn't see anything, you just saw at the ring post. And you knew that Tyler Breeze was there, you knew that Sean Spears was there, you had a good feeling that Cassie Lee was going to be there. And then we walk in, and the Guns are there, all 3 of them. Zia Lee was in the majority of our class. We didn't know what to do. From that moment, my entire brain and knowledge of wrestling was out of my head. I was actually so starstruck that me and Billy Gunn met face to face to do something. I don't even remember what happened. But I'm looking up at this tall man because he is so tall. And he calls me, "Hey, what's going on, Paul?" And my name's not Paul. But it was right then because I didn't know what else to do. So the rest of training
I'm Paul.
Right. The rest of training with Billy Gunn, I was Paul. But
Man, wow. So you trained with a really elite class. If you're honestly, I mean,
yes.
you had several big name people that are now WWE. I mean, Zia Lee, one of them. It's like, holy cow, man! Did you get the chance to pick up and learn a lot from these veterans?
Yes. One of my main regrets is every training we had the opportunity to ask all of the questions we wanted to. Nothing blocked. It was free range, and I guess being there, and I think the rest of my class of my of my discretion, I guess, would validate this as well. We were all scared to ask questions. So even though we had people that have worked WrestleManias and worked alongside Triple H and Shawn Michaels and were champions at the time and all of that, we didn't ask any questions that we should have asked. So
wow,
yeah, that's the one thing I would change if I could go back.
That's the big regret, not asking any questions. Have you learned a lot since then? Since training with them, have you learned a lot?
Yes. In training, I was called a mosquito with ADHD because I would move around the ring so fast. I wouldn't let anything breathe, and I would just go from this to this to this to this. Since then, I've slowed a lot down, and I still feel like I'm going too fast. So that's my biggest take from that and put it here. That's actually where I get my moniker "Demand the Spotlight." Was in our ending class. They do a little not interview, but they just basically tell you like who you are and what you need to work on. And Breeze looked me dead in the eyes and goes, "Dude, just demand the spotlight, dude. And that hit me, and I've been running with that ever since.
Wow. That's really cool, man. That's awesome. Like getting the chance to be able to train under all of these greats, as well, like Sean Spears and Tyler Breeze. I mean, it's their school. It's like, what the hell, man? You got to train with the chairman, a guy that was one time an NXT championship #1 contender, and what the hell, dude? That's awesome, dude.
Right.
I don't even know what to say at the moment, honestly. That's just really freaking cool, man. You said you came here, afterwards. And the question I have is, did you learn from any other teachers while you were here?
Let's see. I have actually been to seminars with Mark Henry, Tim Storm, former NWA champion, Buddy Matthews, right after he was actually in his non-compete clause, so nobody was allowed to take pictures. Wow. He wasn't supposed to be doing it. Did a seminar with him. Niles Poinquet, who is very well known on the indie scene around the Architects, Oklahoma area. A little bit under Antonio with South Central Wrestling. I think that's the majority of my after school learning.
Okay. And you've wrestled all over here in Arkansas, right?
Yes.
Well, you've been in South Central. That's where I met you, obviously.
Right.
You wrestled in South Central. You wrestled a couple different times for the Cruiserweight Championship. You got freaking stellar pacing in those matches, so I'd say you probably learned quite a bit, you know.
Just screwed over a couple times in those matches, too, but we don't need to talk about that.
We don't have to talk about the talent agency or anything like that. That ain't all that.
We don't need to give them any credit here.
Nah,
this is my podcast, not their time.
That's right. It's your time. You demanded the spotlight, so that's what you
Right,
get.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. What were you leading up to, or what were you trying to get to whenever you came into the Arkansas, or before, not Arkansas, whenever your injury happened? If my ADHD would slow me down just a little bit instead of speed my brain up, we'd be fine. What were you leading up to going into whenever you actually hurt yourself? Where were you at?
I was wrestling in Oklahoma, for the first time I've ever been in Oklahoma, actually. I had just finished a battle royal, and the battle royal was the opening, and they had a spot open in the semi-main. And I told the promoter, like, hey, if you need me, I got you. Because I was pretty cool with this promoter. I met him a couple times at Classic Championship Wrestling up in Fort Smith. So I was already pretty cool with him. And he goes, you know what? I do want to see you actually wrestle one-on-one. So let me see if I can find somebody for you, and we'll make that happen. So I'm like, okay. I didn't think he was going to find anybody because he asked like 4 people. And all 4 of them said no because they wanted to go home. So I was just chilling. And then he runs to me and goes, get in the back. I've got a match for you. I'm like, okay. How much time do I have? Like, there's a match going on in the ring at the time, so I wanted to know how much time I had to stretch. And he goes, oh, they've still got a bunch of stuff. They've got probably 10, 15 minutes left. And by the time I got to the back, within 3 minutes, the bell rang. So I panicked because I didn't have time to stretch or anything. But I'm like, okay, I've had time to work, and I can get a little bit of hamstring stretches in. And I go for a jumping clothesline that I have hit 1,000 times. That I'm sure you've seen me hit at South Central. And for some reason, instead of going up and out, I went up and could not land on my left leg. And for some reason, being the idiot that I am, instead of telling the ref that I needed to stop, I just told the ref that something was wrong and kept going. So about 4 minutes later of him actually working my leg as well, because why wouldn't you if you're hurt? I ended up winning by a roll-up and got the heck out of there.
Daggone, man. Yeah, you're a braver and stronger man than I. If something happened to me and I was hurting, dude, this has been my dream since '97. I don't care if I'm hurting. I'm not gonna be in there much longer. I'm gonna be done. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're a very tough individual. And you said you wrestled even more after that?
That was on September 30th. my next match, which is the reason why I kept wrestling, on October 7th, was me fighting for the Down South Championship Wrestling Championship with Varric Spider Vane, who I'm really close with, and the Brian Kendrick. And you could have cut my leg off, and I was not missing that match. So I did a bunch of at-home rehab of stuff that I didn't even know if it was going to work. But I was able to double brace my leg. I wasn't able to roll, and I wasn't able to jump or run. But I got through that match. And it actually finished top 2 of my matches last year.
Wow. That's awesome, man. Dude, you're like a freaking fighter, dude. You were a fighter amongst fighters, dude. Jesus. Have you won championships here?
Not yet. Completely gold free at the moment, but we're gonna change that once I come back.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I said, we said we didn't need to get into it, but the most prominent stuff that I know about is the talent agency screwing you over.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I just Mayhem talent agency, Troy Twain, and at the time I believe, no, were you in the match against Troy Twain and Drayshawn Prince? Was it y'all in a triple threat? The last match?
That was my last match. No, that wasn't my last match. That was another match that I wrestled with the torn ACL. That was October 29th, 27th.
Jesus, dude.
This close with the torn ACL, and I almost had it.
Jesus, man. I think you deserve a championship. Honestly, you work your ass off, and you do such a good job, man. Do you take any Yeah, man. Do you take any inspiration from wrestlers? And try to incorporate into your movesets or your style or anything?
Absolutely. Shawn Michaels and AJ Styles are my best favorite wrestlers of all time. My chopper up elbow is from Shawn Michaels. Like, that was the only move whenever I got into wrestling. I'm like, I have to do this. If you see me set up for my running knee, which I don't know if I'm going to be able to hit anymore, but if you see me set up for my running knee, I slam my right knee into the ground. That's me tuning up the band like Shawn Michaels used to do. The jumping clothesline that I tore my ACL on is stolen from AJ Styles' run in TNA. Because I was originally doing a jumping forearm like he does now, but the fans didn't get it because it's so close.
Yeah.
I was originally going to call myself the DJ Hall. My tights say that because the Brian Kendrick just caught my attention at like 9 years old, and it stuck with me ever since. So yeah, I definitely take inspiration. I saw a quote from somebody one time. I forget who it was, but it was, if you take inspiration from one person, it's copying. But if you take inspiration from multiple people, it's actually inspiration. So I am definitely a mixture of all of those guys.
Definitely, man. Definitely. I feel like it's not ever a bad thing whenever you're in there doing what you're doing. If you see something that you love, if you see something that really does inspire you, try to incorporating it into your arsenal or whatever, as long as it's, like you said, as long as it's not just, this is the guy and I'm going to be clone of him. You can call me the phenomenal number A. I'm a phenomenal athlete. That's it. As long as you're not doing something like that, or, the heartbreak child or something like that, it's not going to be like a big deal because you're doing what inspires you. You're putting things that really brought you to the dance into it,
Right.
And I think that's a really cool thing. I wonder, have you been heel before, or have you just been babyface? Because anytime I've ever seen you, you've been babyface.
I'm not. I'm just too lovable, dude. For some reason,
very
the
likable
fans
guy.
just don't want to boo me. I'm that guy. What can I say?
I imagine you could pull it off if you needed to, though. If you were put in that situation, you could.
Oh, absolutely.
But most things I feel like are justified in whatever, like the freaking talent agency. Most of it's justified for you to be pissed off at them. Most of it's justified for you to try to take them out,
Right.
I think it's really cool, What kind of run were you at last time you were in ring? What were you looking to accomplish? Were you going after a championship? Were you?
My last match was to save SCW from the talent agency, but it was definitely me gearing and studying more of Troy Twain to go after that title. And Down South Championship Wrestling was building a cruiserweight division to put a title there, so I was going for that. Hot Springs is getting Vapors Championship Wrestling, which I've seen you've interviewed the owners of that. And I was in line to be one of the first, in my opinion at least, I was in line to be one of the first champions there. And Classic Championship Wrestling in Fort Smith was just starting to get the ball rolling, and I was one of their founding members. So I was here in the top spot of every place, it felt like. And then it just, I stepped on the wrong part of the mountain and caused a landslide.
Daggone, man. Did it do something to you? Did it mentally affect you whenever you knew you had to step away?
Oh, definitely. I ate a lot of ice cream because apparently ice cream is my comfort food. And definitely regret that now. But that was the main, that and my girlfriend were the main two things that definitely got me through this. But
definitely. How did you work through it? I mean, you know, I don't know if it's something you're comfortable talking about or not, but how did you work through all that the different emotions you may have felt? Because I mean, God, I wouldn't know what to do if something like that, if I was to have an injury or something and it was to take me out and be out of my control, you know, that's something that I haven't had to experience and hopefully won't have to experience. I know, I am going to step away for personal reasons after whoever's man enough to take my Intercontinental Championship away from me. You know, whoever's man enough to do that, I'm going to step away for a little bit. But it's personal reasons. I can't, you know,
right.
I have to. But I couldn't imagine something being taken out of my control and taken away that's so important to me. How did you work through all of that, man?
Luckily, unlucky enough, this isn't my first rodeo of an injury. I've broken my hand. I got cleared and started wrestling again like 4 weeks after. Or I tore my ACL 4 weeks after I got cleared from my hand. So it wasn't my first rodeo that year, and I've broken my ankle before. Never hurt anybody, though. I always get hurt protecting somebody. But that's a different story. So I knew kind of what it was going into it. This is definitely the longest I've been out. But once the initial feelings of I can't miss this match against Brian Kendrick, or I have to finish this story with SCW, like I can't just vanish. Once that all wore down, it turned into, okay, let's get through this. Let's see what we did well. Let's go dark, and then let's just see what we can do better. Like there's no point in having an injury and having so much time. I'm like 150 days away after my last match right now. So there's no point in putting in all of the work of 150 days of no matches, no content, no YouTube videos or anything like that without being able to say I came back better than I left. Like physically, I may not ever be 100% because of that, but mentally, promo-wise, character-wise, gear-wise, whatever, I can be better than I was on September 30th. And I'm very motivation-driven. I'm very, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm very, if I'm told I can't, then I'm going to do it, kind of driven. And that's really been my main focus of, I told myself when it first happened that I wasn't going to be able to do this again. And now those voices are ringing in my head telling me to prove my own self wrong instead of prove the people from my childhood wrong. So it's become personal at this point.
Okay, so it's about proving people wrong, proving yourself wrong, like you said, from whenever it first happened to now, even, you know. It's about saying, no, you tell me I can't, I'll show you I will. You know, it's a willpower thing. Okay.
That actually coincides with the demand the spotlight. What they said I couldn't have, I'm demanding it now, and I'm gonna get it one way or another.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Shoot, man. As far as your matches that you've had so far, what are your most memorable matches? If you had to name three off, what are the three biggest matches that you've had?
The Brian Kendrick, just because of the name value and just because of how much he inspired me growing up. Definitely not one of my best matches. I'm still not happy about it. I haven't gone back and watched it fully, just because of the injury and just because I knew it was going to be so much better beforehand. But that's still one of my most proud matches. Probably my first match at SCW. Maybe. Let's go with that one, yeah. Just because me and Drayshawn, screw that man, first of all. Me and him clicked so well in that match. We've had quite a few bangers, but I'll leave him out of it. I don't want to give him too much credit. Can't invest too much stock into that piece of crap.
Yeah.
And then, let's see, if I had to pick one more. I'm going to go out on one that probably doesn't get recognized enough. Me versus Brady Payne in Down South Championship Wrestling. Just because that was his first match, and we were a part of the same flatbacks group. So I had actually contacted him and was like, hey, I can probably get you booked here. He's from California, mind you.
Wow.
I can probably get you booked here. I don't know if he'll wrestle, but I can get you started. Because he had all of my classmates that started with me, for the most part, backed off after that because they couldn't find anywhere to work. So I told them all, like, if you come here, I'm going to get you a spot. And they put him against me, and I told him, like, you're going to have a good match tonight. I don't care what we have to do. You're going to have a good match tonight. And from what I've been told, it's been one of his best matches. So
Nice.
definitely one of my proudest moments to do that with somebody that I've roomed with for 2.5 months.
Right on, man. Right on. I think it's awesome being able to have such a full resume. I do not, but you do. You have a huge resume of matches underneath your belt, I'm sure. You know, go, place. You know, and it's a testament to how hard of a worker you are, and your character and everything, man. So kudos to you for having that and being able to get back to that, because I know you will, man. I know you'll be back at it, and you'll be going after that championship in whichever promotion you decide to go. You know, so it'll happen for you, I'm sure. And actually, Drayshawn Prince was on yesterday's episode as of time of release. So, it's one thing or another, man. It is what it is. I had Troy Twain on last week or the week before as well. So it is what it is, man. What can you do?
I watched a little bit of Troy's just so I could get a little bit more of a study time with him, because I know we're going to meet again. So might as well use all of my resources.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Get inside his head a little bit in the Adam Talks podcast, man.
Right.
Who's on your Mount Rushmore of wrestling, man? If you had 4, who are they?
Shawn Michaels, greatest wrestler of all time. I do not care. I will die on that hill. I've actually fought people because of that.
God dang.
Definitely my favorite.
Such a
wrestler of
nice
all
guy.
time.
You're so likable, man, and you're fighting people over Shawn Michaels, defending his honor. What a chivalrous man.
I've got, I don't know if you can see it, but I've actually got the Shawn Michaels Heartbreak Kid belt in the back.
Oh, wow. That's cool, man.
I own his WrestleMania, or a copy of his WrestleMania 14 tights. I've got so much Shawn Michaels merch. It's insane.
Wow.
So definitely him. Right smack dab in the middle. Give him the biggest face. Shawn Michaels is number 1 in the Mount Rushmore. You can make the Mount Rushmore out of just Shawn Michaels for all I care.
Even the
AJ
Saudi
Styles.
Arabia Shawn Michaels, huh?
We don't talk about that one.
That
never
didn't
happened.
happen.
That didn't
That was
happen.
a
That was a
fever
bad
dream.
dream.
It's a fever dream. It's something that we don't talk about. We don't talk about
Right.
Bruno. Go ahead.
Probably let's do AJ Styles just because of his longevity and that I've stolen his logo and made it my own, to say the least. So let's go with AJ because I'm planning on incorporating a few more of his moves into my stuff. 2 more. Let's see. I kind of want to do a tag team, but I'm not feeling a tag team. I'm going to go Eddie Guerrero.
That's a good one.
I was never old enough to watch his stuff, but I've watched his stuff recently. And he's actually, you mentioned Rey Mysterio being one of the guys that you said, hey, I can do it if he can do it. I looked up Eddie Guerrero's height at like 17, and it said he was 5'7", which is what I am. So I figured if he can do it, I thought Rey was an outlier, but if Eddie can do it, and if Eddie can be at the top, and Eddie can be this so well renowned so many years after his unfortunate passing, then I'm sure I can do it.
Oh yeah.
We're definitely not in the same class or anything, but another one of my inspirations that I was never able to watch, unfortunately. I would have loved that. And then let's go. I was going to say Osprey just because of recency bias. I've gotten really into him recently.
Yeah.
I won't do that.
The aerial assassin.
I'm going to go Bray Wyatt because I
that's a really good
Bray Wyatt. Just because of his creativity and what he was able to do outside of wrestling. He was the one that really marginalized and brought cinematic wrestling into the thing. The Firefly Funhouse was 40 minutes of freaking amazing cinema that I haven't even seen as well in movie theaters.
Yeah.
And what he was doing recently before his untimely passing would have me cooking food in the kitchen, and then I hear his song. I've done turned off the oven. My food's still in there, but it's turned off now, and I'm back watching wrestling just because it was such an eye attraction to me that if I missed a single word of what he said, I was going to rewind the TV.
Yeah. Man, good picks. Good picks, man. I mean, you talk about master storytellers. I would say all four of those are master storytellers, and that's what we do as pro wrestling. We tell stories.
Right.
You know, my dad has called pro wrestling a male soap opera, and it is something that I completely wholeheartedly agree with, man. You know,
Yep.
You see all the melodrama from all these larger-than-life huge people. Like recently it's been Drew McIntyre and CM Punk having the girl fight drama, basically, that you'd see in soap operas. And it's just wonderful, man. Cody finished his story. That's outstanding. I
That's
watched
so
WrestleMania.
sad.
What? Oh, you didn't want to see? You wanted to? You one of these? You one of
I
these?
acknowledge my tribal chief Roman Reigns.
There you go. I do both, man. We were watching. Me and my fiance were watching. We were watching WrestleMania together. It was her first. Like before she got with me, she had never watched wrestling. So I've gotten her into wrestling over the past half year or so, and
Yeah.
she's been watching it with me. And me and her even have a fantasy league going right now. Just me and her going against each other, getting points and everything, and it's awesome, man. But her favorite was Roman. And
Yeah.
I love Cody Rhodes, man, but I love Roman as well because you can't beat the tribal chief, man. And the final boss come back. I'm just going on a tangent. Anyways, man, it's been awesome having you on here, man. I know your time is cut short because you've got some streaming you're going to be doing sometime soon. You want to plug anything before we get you off of here?
I have way too many socials, dude. The main two are I'm official DJ Hall on everything: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, anything. The one thing I was smart about was picking one username and sticking it throughout. So official DJ Hall is my wrestling stuff, and then gaming with DJ Hall is all of my gaming stuff, and that's on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, so on and so forth.
Right on, man. Right on. Usually at the end, if you've watched any kind of wrestling podcast, the biggest one is a guy with 3 initials, CVV, right?
Right.
If you've watched any kind of things with him, I kind of took something from him because he inspired me in a large way to do the podcast and thing a little different. So at the end of each episode, I'll give three things that I'm thankful for, and then I'll ask my guests 3 things they're grateful for. And usually mine don't change a ton, man, because you know, I'm very thankful for the same things, but they're big things to me. My support system, my fiance, my 2 beautiful daughters, my mom, dad, brother, anybody who's really supported me in anything I do, you know. I'm very grateful for having them in my life and being there and present to support me in whatever adventure I go on. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm grateful number two for you, the guests that choose to come on here, man, because if I'm being honest, you don't have to come on here, man. Nobody has to be on this show. I'm just some random dude that likes talking to people. So I'm very grateful for each and every person that decides to come on this show. Very important to me. Very, very important to me. And number 3 is probably just my health, man. I'm thankful that I have pretty good health right now, that I can get up and I'm not in too much pain. I'm not breathing too heavy. I'm not running short of breath. apart from allergy season, which kills me every freaking year. But, you know, I'm thankful that I have good health because a lot of people don't. And I'm not talking about injuries, so that wasn't a dig at you. Just letting you know.
I wasn't going to take it as one, but now I feel a little bit slighted, but I'll let it slide this time.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My tribal chief, DJ Hall. Anyways, DJ, man, what are 3 things that you're grateful for in this very moment?
First thing off the bat, I've got to say wrestling, just because throughout the years, especially lately, it's given me something to live for, something to strive for, something to make myself better for, and be an encouragement to, if I think this is my cap, like if this is my limit, then I'm still going to find a way here. So definitely wrestling. Secondly, I'm going to go my girlfriend, just because she's helped tremendously over this past 150 days or so. And even before then, she's the one that records all of my matches. She makes sure my tripods don't get stolen. I can sit in the back all show, and she helps sell the merchandise even though I'm not out there. If there's a little kid that's crying because he didn't get to see DJ, she'll send me a quick text, and I'm out there in 5 minutes. She was the one that drove me home after I tore my ACL. She would not let me get in the driver's seat. She helped me walk myself into the house because I couldn't walk. So she's definitely been a huge support system. And thirdly, I'm gonna go to Christ, because without prayer, I definitely wouldn't be here right now. My mindset would have been crushed more than it was. And just knowing that I have somebody actually looking out for me, regardless of if I'm asking for it or not, and that somehow this is going to coincide to a greater plan instead of just me focusing on wrestling. Like, this could have been a wake-up call and could lead to something greater than wrestling. Knowing that has really very much helped my mindset through all of this as well.
Definitely, man. Wow. Those are 3 wonderful things, man. 3 awesome things definitely worth being grateful for, man. DJ, I don't want to keep you too long, man, because I know you got stuff you're doing. So, man, I just want to leave it at this. Thank you so much, man. Thank you for coming on this show. But not only that, man, I haven't got the chance to really tell you yet. I appreciate the advice you gave me in the ring that one time whenever I was training in there and I was trying to run the ropes and my feet were crossing and too many steps, not enough steps, whatever it may have been. You were very, very considerate, very kind, and very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's patient. That's the word I'm looking for. You're very patient. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate the hell out of it, man. I appreciate you being on the show as well, though, man. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of. Hey, not a problem, buddy. We'll have to do it again sometime when you got a little bit more time. But have a wonderful rest of your night, buddy.
You as well.
That was a great conversation, guys. It was just a lot of fun, you know. I wish we would have had that extra 15 minutes just to talk a little bit more, but I'm so happy he gave me the 45 that he did. It was just awesome, you know. He had to get off there and go stream, and I sat and I watched him for a little bit and commented on his video. It was a lot of fun, you know. That 45-minute conversation, learned a lot of different things. Didn't know he trained under at Flatbacks under Tyler Breeze and Sean Spears. Had no clue Xia Li was in his training class. What the hell is going on? So really cool thing getting to sit down and talk with DJ. It was a lot of fun. This was a really good week, you know. After talking to Drayshawn Prince yesterday, we got to talk to DJ Hall today. It was just top notch. It was great. It was a lot of fun, and I can't wait. Maybe later on, after he gets healed up, we can have him on again. It's going to be a lot of fun, guys. That is it for this one, and that is it for this week, though, as well. So, guys, until next time, never forget to always listen when Adam talks. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, or night, whenever you're listening to or watching this, and we'll see you very, very soon.